Boys, ever since, pretty much since Bilal Muhammad became champion, and now since Merab Dvalishvili just beat Sean O'Malley, there's been lots of conversation of, is this the worst set of UFC champions we've had ever, or at least in a hot minute? And I'm not gonna lie, there's a strong argument to be made that the set of champions we have right now are the worst set of champions we've had in UFC history. And I know it's a pretty bold statement, but we're going to go from flyweight all the way down to heavyweight, talk about each current champion and see how they rank, between the previous champions of that weight class. Of course, starting with flyweight, Alexandre Pantoja. We're not just going to talk about the previous champions. We're going to talk about, how good is this fighter? How entertaining is this fighter? Is he active? All that stuff. So starting with Pantoja, to be honest, Pantoja, I don't see many people even caring about Pantoja. He's pretty boring, even though, yes, he's ran through the division. He has beat pretty much, I wouldn't say the entire top 15, but he's beat a lot of names in that top 15. And for someone who is as dominant as Pantoja, no one really cares if he wins or loses his next fight. There's no stakes in his fight. Again, when you're watching a Pantoja title fight, you don't really care about the outcome of that fight. And, as he's became champion, his rise to championship to defending the belt is completely different. On the rise, he was one of the more entertaining flyweights. He was a finisher. He definitely had a way different game plan than what he does now. Right now, he's kind of a decision merchant. And I'm not gonna lie, in my opinion, he is the worst flyweight champion that we've had. Let's go back in time and see our previous champions. Brandon Moreno, in my opinion, and I think the UFC's opinion too, Brandon Moreno was a bigger name. People cared about him more. I think Brandon Moreno is the biggest name in flyweight right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if the UFC want to give him another title shot if he wins his next fight. But Brandon Moreno, in my opinion, all around, I think he's more entertaining. Fight style, I think, is funner to watch. I think there's more stakes when it comes to Brandon Moreno title fight, and I think he beats Pantoja in those aspects. Deiveson Figueiredo, again, I think Deiveson Figueiredo is more entertaining than Pantoja. Then we have Henry Cejudo. Like him or hate him, he was more entertaining than Pantoja. And then this is probably recency bias, but I think Mighty Mouse was by far more entertaining than Pantoja, even though while Mighty Mouse was champion, they were talking about cutting the division. But again, probably recency bias. So yeah, stacked up with these other guys, in my opinion, Pantoja currently is the worst champion we have. And that's not me trying to hate Pantoja. It's just when you stack up to the rest of these guys, it's hard to say that he's better than any of them. Let's go down to Bantamweight right now. Bantamweight, we have Merab Dvalishvili. Now, things that you can say about Merab: no finishing power. In my opinion, this guy is annoying as hell on the mic. Listen, guys, one more thing. And then he just goes on a tangent for 5 minutes. If you go watch his post-fight Octagon interview after beating Sean O'Malley, it's, in my opinion, one of the most cringy, prolonged thing I've ever heard in the UFC. So that's one thing you can say. You can say he does have, a good quality about him. He does have some good press conference moments. He does have some, good entertaining things build up wise through fights, with whether it's stealing Sean O'Malley's jacket, the skits he does. So those are some fun things about him, but he's a decision merchant. In my opinion, he's worse of a decision merchant than Pantoja. Now, is he the worst champ we've had in UFC history? Let's go back. Sean O'Malley. I think pure entertainment wise, Sean O'Malley is way better. Aljamain Sterling, again, I think build-up wise and entertainment wise, Aljamain Sterling was more fun. Same with Peter Yan, Henry Cejudo, TJ Dillashaw, Cody Garbrandt, Dominic Cruz, Renan Barão. I think all of these guys clear Merab Dvalishvili in pure entertainment and just fight style. I think Merab has one of the most boring fight styles that we've seen as champion. So that being said, I think we're 2-0 in having the worst champions in UFC history so far. But let's go down to the featherweight division. Featherweight division is it's hard to say, is Ilia Topuria the worst, because there's so many good things about him. But with that being said, we have to start off with the worst things about him. First thing, in my opinion, this guy's a Twitter warrior. He goes on Twitter saying he's not going to fight this guy, he's not going to fight this guy. He wants to fight Conor, he wants to move up, become a double champ, even though he hasn't defended the belt once yet. He went through the top 15 and he didn't want to fight anyone. He didn't want to fight Max Holloway in the beginning. He didn't want to give Volkanovski a rematch. There's so many things about Topuria. Maybe it's a character, but in my opinion, very unlikable things about him. He's a Conor wannabe. He wants to follow the exact same path as Conor. He wants a champ versus champ fight, even though he doesn't want to fight contenders. However, inside the octagon, he is one of the more entertaining champions we have. He's okay. He's pretty decent at the press conference, but when it stacks up to the rest of these champions, the featherweight champions might be Hall of Fame champions by themselves. But let's go through. I don't know if I want to include interim. I'll talk about the interim title holders, but I don't think I'm going to include them in undisputed. So for interim, we have Yair Rodriguez. Then after that, we have Alexander Volkanovski, champion. I think Volkanovski is better all around. Max Holloway, I think he's better all around. Jose Aldo, better all around. Conor McGregor, obviously better all around. So in my opinion, if we're not taking into consideration the interim title holder, then Ilia Topuria is the worst champion we've had in featherweight. Now, does that mean he's going to always be the worst champion? No, he just became champion. If he can defend it a little bit longer, if he can make his reign something undeniable, if he can go down in featherweight GOAT status, he doesn't even have to do all that stuff. But there is a pathway for him to not become the worst featherweight champion we have right now. But like I said, we just have like killers and Hall of Famers as champion in featherweight, so it's hard to stack up Ilia Topuria with any of these guys when he's the newly ranked champion. So as of right now, we're 3-0 for the worst champions in UFC history. Let's go down to the lightweight division. Lightweight division, Islam Makhachev. He has to be the most well-rounded champion we have in the UFC. He's very entertaining inside the octagon. He's not a decision merchant. He goes out there trying to get the finish. He has, okay mic skills. It's definitely not his strong suit. I'm going to say now, he is not the worst champion in lightweight history. We have Charles Oliveira. We have Dustin Poirier as the interim. Khabib Nurmagomedov. We have Tony Ferguson as another interim. We have Conor McGregor. We have RDA, Anthony Pettis, Benson Henderson, Frankie Edgar, BJ Penn, Sean Shirk, Jens Pulver. So do I think Islam's the worst on this list? Absolutely not. You can stack him up with one of the best lightweight champions we've ever had in UFC history. So right now, we're 3-1. Let's go down to the welterweight division. Bilal Muhammad. It's so much similarities between Bilal Muhammad and Merab at this point. I do think Bilal is, he might be slightly more entertaining in the octagon and maybe a little bit more entertaining on the mic. I just need him to pull like full heel and just embody the hate that he has. I think you'd get a lot of fans if he does do that, but is he the worst champion we've ever had in welterweight history? I don't think he's the worst, but he is one of the worst. So we've had Leon Edwards. To be honest, Leon Edwards wasn't much better than Bilal Muhammad, but I'll give Bilal Muhammad I'll say Bilal Muhammad is a little bit worse than Leon Edwards. Then we have Kamaru Usman. I think Kamaru Usman is one of the best welterweights. Colby Covington, he's the interim. Tyron Woodley, Robbie Lawler, Johnny Hendricks, Carlos Condit, GSP, Matt Serra, Matt Hughes, BJ Penn, Carlos Newton, and Pat Milichin. Now, does he rank in here somewhere with one of the worst? Yes. Can I say he's the worst? I don't know. Okay, for the video's sake, we'll say he's a worst welterweight, but he's not the worst. He's one of the worst. But for video's sake, we're 4-1 right now. 4 of the worst set of champions in UFC history so far. Only Islam Makhachev is not on this list. Let's go to the middleweight DDP. Now, DDP. In my opinion, DDP is a pretty good middleweight champion. He's a gaslighting king. We love that. We love some solid gaslighting here. And to be honest, he has very, very underrated mic skills. He's 2-0 in making his opponents cry before the fight. Do you know how crazy of a stat that is? I think DDP might be the only fighter in UFC history who's made not just one of his opponents cry, but 2 of his opponents cry back to back before their fight. And he does have a fun autistic-like style, which is amazing to watch. You're just sitting there wondering how it works, yet he goes in there and beats everybody with his autistic style. You love to see that. I don't think he's the worst middleweight champion. I'm not going to lie. We've had worse. I'm not saying Sean Strickland was worse. We have Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya, Alex Pereira, GSP, Michael Bisping, Luke Rockhold. To be honest, Luke Rockhold might be worse than DDP. We have Chris Weidman, Anderson Silva, Rich Franklin, Ivan Tanner, Aurelio Bustamante, Dave Mene. I don't think DDP is on that worst list. To be honest, in my opinion, he's one of the better middleweight champions we have. Not just inside the octagon, but also outside the octagon. So, you know, that's another one for not the worst. So we're 4-2 right now. Let's go to the light heavyweight division right now. Alex Pereira. You know, when you have Alex Pereira as champion, you have fun build-ups. You know, this boy's aura maxing to the absolute max. In my opinion, this guy has the best walkout in UFC history, but you know, there is some favoritism going around with the matchmaking. You know, he's one of the biggest stars that we have right now, but you can tell that they're giving him favorable matchups, as you can see with his next title defense. But this guy, he's doing a Hall of Fame speed run. If I had to compare him to someone else at light heavyweight, a star at light heavyweight, he's kind of like our generation of Chuck Liddell, if that makes any sense. I don't think he's the worst champion we've had on this list. Like, we've had Jamal Hill. I think Jamal Hill is worse than him. We have Yuri Prochazka. I think Yuri's worse than him, but at the same time, it's not like he's miles behind Alex Pereira. I just think Pereira's a little bit better. We have Glover Teixeira, Jan Blachowicz, John Jones, DC. We got Shogun, Lyoto Machida, Rashad Evans, Forrest Griffin, Rampage Jackson, Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, Vitor Belfort, Tito Ortiz, Frank Shamrock. You're telling me Alex Pereira is the worst on that list? We're 4-3 right now. We can have a tiebreaker right now. I honestly didn't realize that for this video, but we can have a tiebreaker right now. It all comes down to heavyweight right now, John Jones. Let's go for some positive and some negative things about John Jones. John Jones, like it or not, he's the GOAT of the UFC, but that comes with a lot of negatives. Right now, it's clear as day he's ducking Tom Aspinall. He wants to fight Stipe. Yes, I understand why he wants to fight Stipe. I understand the reasoning behind fighting Stipe. But if he goes out and beats Stipe and doesn't fight Tom Aspinall, just retires after that, he is, without a shadow of a doubt, just ducking Tom Aspinall. He has been inactive for 2 years. It is what it is. At this point, he's scheduled to fight. So I guess at this point, who cares? He's scheduled to fight. Let's just hope everything goes smoothly. And to top it all off, this boy's just gay. You know, there's not that many worse champions, but he's very close to the worst heavyweight champion. Let's go through the list. We had Francis Ngannou. Ngannou was better. Stipe was better. DC was better. We have Verdum, Cain Velasquez, Brock Lesnar, Frank Mir. We have Nogueira, Randy Couture, Tim Sylvia, Andre Arlovsky, Junior Dos Santos, Cain Velasquez, Sean Carwin, Rico Rodriguez, Josh Barnett, Kevin Randleman, Bas Rutten, Maurice Smith, Mark Coleman. I mean, you can't go into this and think, oh, John Jones the GOAT of light heavyweight. You don't think of the light heavyweight stuff. Just think of what he did at heavyweight. In heavyweight, he might be the worst. But for the sake of the video, I'm not going to say he's the worst. We're tied 4-4, so 50-50. You guys have to let me know in the comments below, is this the worst set of champions we've ever had in the UFC? Because there's a very strong argument to be made that yes, this is the worst set of UFC champions we've had, at least in a long time. Without a shadow of a doubt, I can say, you know, Islam Makhachev, DDP, and Alex Pereira 100% are not the worst champions we've had. But everyone else, you know, it's a coin flip, if not for sure they're the worst. But you guys have to let me know in the comments below, am I tripping on this? Did I get this right? You guys have to look at this shit too. 99% of you guys just watch this shit for free. Your boy is on that goal to hit 1,000 subscribers. We're so close. So if you guys made it to the end of the video, might as well just like this video up, subscribe with those post notifications on so you never miss any of these rare videos. And yeah, there's really not that much else left to say, except for I will see you guys in my next video.